It's confident computing number 820. What if I lose my second factor? Hi everyone, Leo Notenboom here for askleo.com for the 820th edition of my weekly newsletter. Before we get to the featured article, I do want to point out that this last Saturday we had an Ask Leo live event where I reviewed Gmail, of all things. And it turned out to be actually the longest live event I've done so far. If my voice sounds a little raspy, it's because I was talking for an hour and a quarter straight yesterday. I think I'm still recovering. It was a great session though, because there was a lot to cover. We went over the user interface for Gmail as well as the majority of its settings. It has a lot of hidden gems, and I really think it's one of those underappreciated services that a lot of people use but don't use to its fullest. I live in Gmail, so I really do try and exercise as much of it as I can, and I've got a sense for what might be valuable and not to you. So if you are so inclined, definitely take a peek at the Ask Leo live event, an overview of Gmail, and you might find something useful, I hope. Our featured article this week is, of course, what happens if I lose my second factor. There's two sides to this. One, of course, is, well, if your second factor is in the hands of someone with malicious intent. What does that mean? Not as much as you might think. The other part, of course, is, well, I don't have my second factor. How do I log into my account? That's something that you should have been prompted to prepare for as you set up two-factor authentication. So have a look at what happens if I lose my second factor if you're at all concerned about what might happen if you lose your second factor. I really don't want that to be an obstacle to you actually using two-factor authentication, because it really is the single thing that I think almost all security professionals agree on that you can do to proactively protect your online accounts. Also this week, what is defragging and do I still need it in Windows 10? Well, it's an interesting thing, but the real question is, do you still need it? Yes, but you may not need to think about it at all. Why is my hard drive not showing up in Windows File Explorer is a situation that many people find themselves in from time to time. As it turns out, in the majority of the case, I'll call it the 80-20 rule, there's actually a very simple fix. And how do I test backups? 3 steps you can take to make sure your backups are going to be there when you need them. This really is something that I think everybody who's backing up probably needs to pay attention to. I have heard the horror stories of people who thought they were backing up, and for whatever reason, when the time came, it wasn't there for them. The safety net had a hole in it. In addition to videos for some of the articles that I've just mentioned, also on YouTube this week, how long should I keep my backups? A common question that actually has a different answer depending on your own needs. Why am I not getting the email newsletter I signed up for? Hey, it happens here even with confident computing. You sign up and sometimes you just don't get it. There are things to look at, some things you can do to increase the odds of it showing up in your inbox. A quick reminder, even if you don't do video, although since you are watching this, I suspect you do video, do pay attention to the descriptions below the Ask Leo videos on YouTube and elsewhere. There's usually, I say almost always, a link to a companion article, a written article on askleo.com that covers the same information or potentially covers it in a little bit more detail. For those of you that prefer the written word, even just going to the video to check out the description might be exactly what you're looking for. In the TEH podcast this week, well, there was no TEH podcast this week. Gary decided to go wandering around Colorado somewhere, so we decided to take the week off. We'll be back again this week. That's Confident Computing number 820. What happens if I lose my second factor? I hope you find something in it that was interesting, informative, and maybe a little educational. I'm Leo Notenboom. This is askleo.com.